Thank you for tuning in to the Daily Bonk. This time on the Daily Bonk, we have quite a few updates. I've put together a few maps. The front 9. The back 9 is currently just a recolored duplicate set. We are nearing a stable prototype. I feel like I've said that a lot, but we are nearing one. We can play 6-player games, and it tracks the scores for everyone. And there's only just a few hiccups, bugs, and the thing, I've still got some to-dos. You can read through those on the GitHub if you'd like. I went ahead and I removed the get call from the game handler setup, so it maintains the set target architecture, and then the direct check to the Boolean state, but I did remove the get. I just figured it was more idiomatic to not have the logic calls in quotes, because then Rust Analyzer or your IDE of choice and coding assistant of choice would be able to directly catch the errors rather than waiting on a console output. It just seemed like the wise choice. Once we get a stable local multiplayer game set up, I will be able to start focusing on matchmaking and how I want to build that system. I think that I'm going to tie in a I don't know if I'm going to tie in the database or not yet, but that's something I've been thinking about, if I'm going to use that for matchmaking, so that it can just directly facilitate and create those matches, or if I want to rely on Matchbox and their built-in matchmaking. Those are decisions that will be made in the future. At the moment, I have been working pretty fervently on the physics handler. We've got collision event listeners, we've got all kinds of stuff going on. Basically, I'm just trying to make sure that everything triggers at good times, and that when we're respawning golf balls, they go to the right place, and that sleep statuses for each of the golf balls are updated properly. There's a lot to do. The to-do list is, as always, growing. I have gone through and I've actually mapped out a few different interactions throughout the program. We've got the main minigolf.csv, which maps all of the different functions in their respective files. And then we've got the purge handler map. That's an interesting system. And we monitor when the purge handler is running, and so we can delay triggers for like level loading until the purge is complete, that kind of deal. Same kind of deal with the game handler. Basically all of these are utilizing the set trigger and the direct get functioning, where you just call the Boolean with a function. So essentially it would be like game handler dot Boolean dot, or excuse me, not dot, parentheses, close parentheses. And that's to, complete the function call. It's coming along. We're making progress. I've added some logic to the ray system handler for different interchanges in the menu. Right now I've shelved the rotary menu. Essentially it's one of those things where I could wait and focus on that, or I could focus on real features. And I think I'm at this point where I need to get each of those systems individually working with their own labeling systems before I worry about putting them all in the same menu space. I am going to be building with that in mind, so that the transition should be easy. That is on my to-do. We are making progress. I've really enjoyed that user interface plugin that I built. I think I'm going to start going through my different code blocks systems that I have for like the level handler, the physics handler, the leaderboard handler, the party, the player, the camera, you know, etc., etc., and seeing if I want to turn them into plugins. I haven't decided how modular I want to get. I do want to create some reusable systems for the future, but I don't want to spend my entire time refactoring an engine when really what I want to do is build an online multiplayer game. So I have to maintain focus on that. Thankfully, I've got my honey-do list, which is, you know, it's kind of fun. It is the to-do. It's where my stuff that I am tracking goes. And I've got 22 entries in there. Everything from, well, 21 if you count. The headers in there. No, 22, excuse me. Because the header is 0 indexed. But, you know, so occasionally I have issues with golf balls not resetting to their stored locations. Although that in the later updates has seemed to have been pretty stable. I think that if it pops up again, you know, I'll just do some deep dives into the console. I need to figure out if there is a debugger for Rust. I've been solely relying off console data, but I'm at a point where debugging directly step by step would be very good for tracking down these errors and issues. One thing that's on my to-do is to build an initial player spawn platform, and then when it's their first turn, relocate the golf ball from the initial player spawn platform, because there are times, as you can tell, when the golf balls line up on the spawning on the play platform, and it's difficult to start your shot because you don't have a 360 degree shot, essentially. Golf ball physics don't always populate. You know, these are things that just aren't triggering properly, and I've been fine-tuning the system, and we're making progress. It's one of those, this is where the debugger comes in. That's one of the important things. I've got some different menu things to focus on, like building out the player menu, the interface for the player name, the ball customization, and storage for those two things directly to the database. The idea is that those things will be stored locally, and if you're connected to the network, it will be stored on the game system database, just generally probably as like an enum. Just so that you can tell how their deal is customized. Depending on how technical I get in with customization, it might just be like choose a swatch with a color. It might be pretty in depth where like you can place logos, kind of how the old racing games used to give you the ability to customize your cars. So I think that could be kind of fun. But that's definitely, like, I might be getting into scope creep, so again, gotta maintain focus. One thing I need to do is on the local interface in the menus is set up difficulty selection for AI, build the AI logic, and set up the playstyle selection for the proximity or for next order. I've only set up the logic for next order, so for now that's what we're using. That's what's playing in the demo. For the online interface, I have quite a lot to do. This is all in the future. This is going to be one of the last things. Once I get a good, stable, hardy engine running locally, then I can focus on the online interface. But that's going to be a party display to match party size. So that's the golf ball display in the menus. I don't know if you all just watch some of my earlier videos, you'll see me playing with those in the menu. Friends to load friends. List interface, I have a clipboard that I have designed, and I can put an animation on where basically it'll come up to the screen, and then that'll be like your pause menu. That's the vision. The clipboard interface is going to be a floating menu for any other time that I need to do more detailed things, because it's just a handy platform. Then I've got some of the party display buttons that I need to add some functionality to, like the plus and minus button to load the clipboard interface with either the friends list to invite the party, or to bring up the party and bring up options to remove players. I have matchmaking selection that I need to build. I've got a lot to do. I don't. I mean, eventually, I plan on building like an MMRE, not MRE. That's meals ready to eat. But essentially, like when you play a ranked game, that it has weights on how good that you are, so that you get matched with similarly skilled players. Then I need to also build out a party interface for, graying out selections if you're not the party leader, but if you are, making it so that you can lead the party into the game or into matchmaking as desired. One thing that I am going to do is make the game so that if you are playing matchmaking online, you can't have additional local players. It's just for record keeping sake better. I'm not going to be storing non-matchmaking played games in the online setting. Specifically, this is a competitive game, so there's not an incentive to store non-competitive games non-locally on client end. So client records will still be available, they'll just be available on the game side. And then I want to bring up the interface menu on the clipboard and have in the online interface menu, have the party board on the left display player names and an image of their golf balls, and then the party display will also have their custom golf ball on display as well. Occasionally, I've got a couple bugs with turn transfer where maybe it won't notice the game will end. I think that's a state transfer issue, maybe with despawning levels. I'm still digging into that, as again, this is where the debugger would come in handy. Sometimes players other than number one in set order will be first on a new level. That's something to dig into. Not a big deal, but for set order, it just makes sense that a player wouldn't start the game. And then, I've already mentioned this, games don't always end when they're supposed to, and I think that's something to do with the state update on the level. I think maybe it just doesn't catch as quickly. I've switched a couple things around, and I'm doing some lengthier testing. But that's a quick update with the Daily Bonk. I appreciate you tuning in. I'm having a lot of fun. I hope you had a happy holidays if you are one to celebrate, and have a great day. Thanks.